Have you ever stopped to think about what your life would be like if you could face any challenge with the certainty that you would never be alone? Many of us cling to things that seem to give us security. A stable job, a fat bank account, or even the opinion of other people. But the truth is that these things are fragile and fleeting. And when they fail, the feeling of helplessness can be devastating. Now, imagine a foundation that never shakes, a source of strength and hope that does not depend on the circumstances around you. This is the essence of God's grace. The good news is that this grace is not reserved only for moments of crisis. It is available to you every day, in every detail of your life. Do you want to know how to apply this transformative truth in your daily life? Stay with me, and you will discover the power of divine grace in your daily life. When it comes to facing life's challenges, the idea that God's grace is sufficient for all our needs is a real relief. Imagine a time when you feel completely overwhelmed, as if there is no way out. The good news is that, according to divine wisdom, you are not alone. God's grace is made manifest in our weakness, as stated in 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. This means that when you find yourself at a crossroads, that is exactly when grace becomes most tangible and powerful. Let's be honest. Life is often difficult, and we may feel like our resources are running out. However, it is in these times of weakness that God shows us that His grace is truly sufficient. For example, you may be going through a financial challenge, a health crisis, or a relationship problem. In these situations, by trusting in God's grace, you can find strength you didn't know you had and a peace that transcends human understanding. But what do you do when trusting in grace seems difficult? This is where the importance of turning to God in prayer comes in, asking Him to reveal the sufficiency of His grace in your life. By focusing on the assurance that God can provide what we need, even when we don't see an immediate solution, hope and faith become our closest companions, paving the way for the next step, trusting Jesus Christ alone. Trusting in Jesus Christ alone is a fundamental pillar for a full and fulfilling life. When you place your faith in Christ alone, you are building your life on something that will never fail. It is like building a house on solid rock instead of shifting sand. Think of all the times you have trusted in temporary things, such as money or personal abilities, and how fickle these things can be. Trusting in Jesus provides a stable, unshakable foundation that can withstand all of life's storms. To illustrate, imagine that you are facing a health problem and the doctors are giving you a discouraging diagnosis. When you put your trust in Jesus alone, even without fully understanding the future, you find a peace that goes beyond your visible circumstances. Trusting in Christ is different because it is a trust that transcends human logic and rests on an eternal promise. So even if everything around you seems uncertain, you are secure on a firm foundation. In addition, trusting in Jesus alone means that you are not dependent on the opinions of others or your own limited abilities. It's a matter of recognizing that all of these things are valuable, but none of them can replace absolute trust in Christ. Trusting in Jesus allows you to face challenges with a fresh perspective and a strength that comes from outside yourself, paving the way for understanding how prayer and dependence on God play a crucial role in your journey. Prayer is the bridge that connects our needs and anxieties to the power of God. When you engage in prayer, you are essentially surrendering yourself to divine wisdom and acknowledging that you cannot face life alone. Imagine that you are sailing in a stormy sea of troubles, and prayers are like a lighthouse guiding your boat to safety. Prayer is not just a ritual. It is an intimate conversation with God, where you express your doubts and hopes and trust that He will hear and respond according to His will. By seeking dependence on God through prayer, you are letting go of the attempt to control everything on your own. This is like being on a battlefield and recognizing that your strategy alone is not enough. You need divine guidance to find true peace and resolution. Prayer helps you align your desires and concerns with God's will, allowing you to see a sufficiency in every aspect of your life. In addition, prayer is a practice that strengthens your faith and trust in God. When you ask Him to remove wrong dependencies and reveal His sufficiency, you are positioning yourself for a fuller, more Christ-centered life. It's not just about asking for things, but about building a solid, lasting relationship with God. This relationship makes trusting in Jesus even more real and effective, setting the stage for a deeper understanding of God's grace and mercy. God's grace and mercy are the pillars that support our spiritual journey, offering profound relief and a new perspective on life. Think of grace as a priceless gift, given to you without your having done anything to deserve it. It's like being in a time of trouble and receiving unexpected help from someone who truly cares. God's mercy goes beyond compassion. It is the undeserved forgiveness and kindness that is offered to us even when we have made mistakes. This is a fundamental part of our spiritual experience, bringing peace and renewal. As you recognize God's grace, you begin to understand that you don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Instead, you can trust that God is offering a solution that goes beyond what you can imagine. For example, when we face financial or personal challenges, God's grace can manifest itself in unexpected ways, bringing new opportunities or solutions that we never would have anticipated. It is a constant reminder that even in our weakest moments, His grace is more than enough to sustain us. God's mercy also encourages us to live with an attitude of gratitude and humility. As we recognize how blessed we have been, we are called to reflect that grace and mercy in our own lives by forgiving others and showing compassion. This creates a cycle of kindness that not only brings us closer to God, but also helps us build healthier, more meaningful relationships. As you deepen your understanding of grace, when we speak of authority and strength that come from God, we are referring to a power that transcends our own limitations and enables us to overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. Imagine that you are facing a battle that seems impossible to win. Divine authority is like a suit of armor that covers you, giving you the confidence to face any adversity with courage and determination. It is not a physical strength, but a spiritual strength, which comes from knowing that you are acting according to God's will, backed by the power that only He can offer. The wisdom that comes from God shows us that this authority is not to be used selfishly, but to serve and help others, just as Christ did. When you recognize that God has given you authority over circumstances, you become an agent of change, capable of positively influencing the lives of those around you. For example, when facing difficult situations at work or at home, you can apply the spiritual authority to bring peace, resolve conflicts, and guide decisions based on faith and trust in God. Furthermore, God's strength makes us more than conquerors in any situation. This does not mean that we will not face difficulties, but that with God on our side, we will be able to overcome anything that life throws at us. This strength allows us to continue, even when it seems that there is no hope left. And it is this same strength that leads us back to prayer, to continual dependence on God, and to the renewal of our faith in His grace and mercy. Now that you understand the transformative power of God's grace, it's time to put this knowledge into practice. Ask yourself, in what areas of my life am I relying more on my own strength than on the strength that comes from God? Where am I seeking security other than in His grace? These are challenging questions, but they can lead to a radical change in your life. Are you ready to take the step? Remember, you don't have to do it alone. God is by your side, offering all the strength and wisdom you need. So make the decision today to live with this new perspective. And to continue learning about how to apply these principles in your life, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay tuned for upcoming videos. Together, we can discover even more about the power of God's grace.